So when we frame, right, and actually the perfect person just joined. I don't know. Dexter, do you have your camera on? You do. So
Yeah.
obviously Dexter is in Kurt Uwalde's program, who is very good at what he does, and he is completely against framing, right? He disagrees with it. Can anybody give me any reasons why you wouldn't frame or why we don't frame?
Create sales resistance.
Sales resistance. Why does it create sales resistance?
Come across like you're trying to be authoritative.
All right,
What's
all
the,
right.
what's the negative behind that?
They feel like they're being sold to rather than feel like you're helping them.
Okay. So what we're saying is it comes across as salesy.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started.
Fucking Alex. Yeah. Any other reason?
Maybe they've heard it before.
So again, like kind of salesy.
Yeah, same thing.
Anything else? Any other reason why we wouldn't put a frame on there? Nothing, right? Why would we frame? What is the purpose of having a frame?
Or authority.
Anything else?
Let them know there's going to be a decision.
Why do we do that though?
So then, I wouldn't even say it's pre-handle, but just, I don't know. Could it be like, it's not a pre-handle, but it's like, it's not like they come up with a shock surprise at the end of like, do you know what I mean?
Preempt.
Like you're kind of, yeah.
Okay. The other reason that we frame, right, is for clarity, right? Like imagine if you'd never been on a closing call and the first thing this guy says to you is like, or like 2 seconds in, he's like, how does that make you feel? How's that been affected? You'd be like, the fuck's this guy asking me that for? Right? Whereas if we frame them and we say that we're going to dig into their current situation, where they want to get to, they now understand why we're asking them these questions. So the main reason that I frame is for clarity, right? Now, there's this huge idea that not framing removes sales resistance. But if you frame correctly, it shouldn't create any sales resistance at all. Like, give me an example of a sales job. Anybody.
Car sales.
Car sale, right? What is the first thing a car salesman says to you when you say, I like that car?
Do you want to test drive it?
Yeah, they say, let's take it for a drive. And if you like it, we'll look over the numbers. You don't go, whoa, 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 man. Like, well, I don't know if I'm buying that today. You go, yeah, fair enough, right? Because if you like it, of course you want to look at the numbers, right? So the myth around it creating sales resistance, I think, is just a cop out because people don't want to, because it's a tough thing to do, right? To tell somebody that at the end of the call, they're going to have to make a decision and telling them how it's going to go. Whereas every other sales job on the planet, you frame. The reason for that is because you want to come off as the authority. We want to lead the conversation, right? So instantly you're setting your authority by leading the conversation, saying, listen, this is how I run my calls. This is how they're going to go. And the prospect now understands that you're in charge of that call. You're taking control and you're the one who's going to dictate where it goes, right? When it comes to being too salesy, right? The way that you come across as too salesy is by not painting in the prospect's interest. So can someone give me an example of how we'd frame?
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Cool. So Jordan, we're just going to go through a little bit more about what it is that you're actually looking to accomplish, where you're at right now with your fitness journey. And if I actually feel like we're aligned and we can help, then I'll go through a little bit more about how the program works. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and figure if that actually works for you and go through the investment and we'll go from there.
Okay. What do we say about Dexter's frame right there? What do we think?
haven't framed in a while, so that was a bit
I
rough
wouldn't
around the
beg
edges.
it.
No, I'm just saying.
It was
I
actually the
thought I
opposite.
thought it was good.
Yeah, like that is not salesy at all. If anything, that's the opposite of salesy, right? Because like if it works for you, if it makes sense, I'm gonna walk you through how we do it. What are salesmen famous for, right? It's trying to pull a fast one on you, pulling the wool over your eyes, and trying to like do things behind your back, right? Whereas if you tell the prospect exactly what you're gonna do, it's the opposite of being salesy, right? So by opening up with a frame, right? So you have two ways to frame. One, exactly the way that you just did, Dexter. Very hands off, very laid back, very understanding, right? Or you have the way that I would frame, which is the way the call is going to go, right? Is walk you through X, so their situation. So exact same as you did, Dexter. But the only difference is at the end, I'm going to say, and then at the end of the call, I'm going to ask you to come to a yes or no decision. Does that sound fair enough? And a lot of the times, right, they're either going to say, they have a few different options. They'll either say, yeah, that's fine. And then I can hold them to making that decision. Or what they'll say is, oh, I don't think I'd make a decision on the call today. And what have I just uncovered straight away? It's going to be their biggest objection, right? And then I can just be like, okay, well, why do you feel like that? What would stop you from making a decision today if everything was perfect, exactly what you want? Oh, I'd have to speak to the wife. I'd have to do this. I'd have to do that. And then I can just get rid of it straight away. This one is a lot tougher, right? Like, especially when you first start doing it, it's not very enjoyable when you first have somebody tell you, no, I'm not making a decision on the call today because you're 35 seconds in, right? But as you get better to it and you adapt to it more, people will open up to you. They'll say, yeah, I'll make a decision on the call if it all makes sense. And it's almost like a cheat code to hold people to the fire more of making a decision on the call. So especially if you struggle with the think about it objection, it works like a treat. Does anybody have any questions around that?
Yeah, Jordan, do you use that for like every call, or is it just dependent on like say their personality? You use that.
Every single call.
Okay, nice.
Because so why wouldn't I use it for every call?
Yeah, no, I think because I just saw in the training it was like it works especially well with like A-type people, but I was just wondering if you use it with
Nah, it
everyone.
works so a lot of my sales experience comes with A-type people. So like on
Okay.
B2B, bigger offers, higher ticket. So like I know it works really well with them. But even on like lower B2C stuff, like when I was selling for the Tates, I used to fucking crush them too. And they were the
Yeah.
farthest thing from high level prospects. So it works on both, but I've seen great success with more successful people too.
Okay, makes sense.
All right. So with the discovery, what's the purpose of the discovery, guys?
Find the objections.
Great answer, Vincent.
Your limiting beliefs and the problem.
Yeah. Anything else?
The desired outcome.
Anything else?
Understanding why they aren't where they want to be.
Okay. Anything else?
Creating a problem and bridging that gap.
Creating a problem? What are you going to do? Light their house on fire?
Well, not understanding their problem and making a gap.
Okay. So with a current situation, right? Everybody has one of two things going on. One, they're not in the position they want to be, or one, their position fucking sucks. And their position fucking sucking isn't as obvious as you probably think it is. Some people, yeah, they're gonna get on the call and they're gonna be like, I have $2 to my name, I'm Kyle Cook, right? But a lot of people aren't happy with their current situation. Like, if you were to get me on a call right now, I'd have a lot of pain because I'm not where I want to be. And I know that I could be doing more, but there's stuff holding me back, right? But I still make 6 figures a month. So with a current situation, it's not always as cut and dry of like, I don't make enough money, I don't have this, I don't have that. A lot of the time, it can also be a mental pain. It doesn't have to be so much of a physical and obvious pain. Can anybody give me an example of what is a common pain you get on a call?
In terms of just mental,
Fucking anything, mate.
I've had a lot of people say to me that they feel like because they're stuck in their job, they're not able to do what their true purpose is, or they're not able to actually do what they want.
So stuck in current job.
Yeah.
Right. So how would if I said to somebody on this call, I said, listen, I'm stuck in my current job. That's why I'm on the call. What would you respond with? What would be the first question you'd ask me?
What makes you say that?
What do you do?
What do you do? Really? Why?
Just to understand their situation.
Is that the most important part of what I said? What is my current job?
You
I'd say,
said,
what do you mean by stuck? I'd say, what makes you
yeah.
say that? What do you mean by stuck?
For your son.
Why do you feel working your current job is making you feel stuck, or why do you feel stuck in that job? Something along those lines.
Okay. And why do we ask it? So you were on the right lines, Dexter, right? But the reason I wouldn't ask what is your current job is because that's a question you can ask at any time, right? So one key thing with discoveries is there's questions that we can ask at any time, and there's questions that we can only ask in certain moments. So follow-up questions to things that they say are things that we have to ask right after they say it. So if somebody says to you, for example, they say, listen, man, I've just been struggling recently. You need to ask, okay, well, why have you been struggling? Because you can't go, well, what is your current job? Like 3 questions, then go, and by the way, you said you've been struggling. Why did you say that? Right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't flow in the conversation. But if we ask all these questions, you can ask at any point, oh, and what do you do at the moment? What is your actual job? So we have 2 types of questions. We have situational questions and we have concurrent questions. So questions that you can ask at absolutely any time in the call. And when you master the ability of knowing when to ask these questions is when you can really start to unravel people's problems, their pains, their objections, everything like that. So some examples of concurrent questions are things like, what do you do for work? How long have you been there? What have you done before? Like, why haven't you made a change? Stuff like that. You can ask that at any point. But situational questions are things that you follow off the back of whatever the prospect has said. So when somebody says, I'm stuck in my current job, the best thing that you can say, as for Callum and Hassan said, would be, okay, well, why do you feel like you're stuck at your current job? And then they'll tell you, and you say, okay, and then they'll give you the reason, which will be, I mean, what response have you got from that in the past, Callum, for Hassan?
Bill
Like on
Caps.
cycle.
Oops.
One at a time, fellas.
Go on, you can go first. That's fair.
Like respect, working long hours, or I'm making money, but the money I'm making, I feel like isn't my potential, or I'm not being paid enough. Those kind of things.
So you're
What I
not
was going to
being
say
so
is,
like there, right? So if somebody said that to me, the first thing I'd say is, so you're stuck at your job because they're not paying you enough. Is that not a reason to get out of it?
Yeah, that's why I'm on the call, right?
Yeah, but why would you stay there if you're not being paid enough?
Well, at the end of the day, I have to, make some sort of money to pay the bills, but I want to make more.
So they're paying you enough to get by and survive, but not enough to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much, or yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the case. That's why I'm on the call, yeah.
Okay, 100%. And roughly, I mean, how much are you making at the moment? Just to get an idea of your goal.
So I'm making around 2,000 every month.
So like, see how that's a situational question. Whereas like when he's bringing up the money, I can now ask him a tough like question that will get a bit of sales resistance with how much are you making at the moment? Because we're talking about it, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you ever go out with your friends or something, you know something's happened to your friend. It's like you can only really ask them about it once they bring it up.
Mhm.
Is the way I'd look at it. It's like you can't sit down with your mate and be like, "So your mum died, mate. How are you?" Like you don't know if they want to talk about it until they bring it up. So it's knowing when to come in with the questions.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well, I do have a question though.
go
Like,
for it.
what if like there's certain questions that you know are a bit more difficult to ask, and obviously if the situation comes up, it softens the blow. But what if the situation doesn't come up? How can you still ask that question without getting the sales resistance?
Great question. So the answer is, right, is every concurrent question you ask is leading them down the route towards your situational questions.
Can you expand, please?
Of course, that's what I'm about to do before you
Oh, sorry.
interrupt.
It's
So,
a-
so when I ask you, like, what is your job, right? What do you do? I already
Yeah.
know from the setter, right? So I've already thought in my head of when you say, "Oh, I'm in car sales." I say, "Okay, that's pretty long hours, man." I've seen that that's long hours. How often do you work? Oh, I work every day. I work this amount of time, right? And then I say, okay, long hours. You get to see your family a lot, right? So I already know where I'm taking it before I've even
Oh.
asked the questions. That's why you should always have a list of the questions that you're going to ask on a call, no matter what. And then you can use like arrows to direct where you're going to take them.
Yeah, that just clicked because I've noticed that sometimes when we don't do that, that's when in our line of questioning we go to assuming an answer that we
Yeah.
want to hear rather than asking the question.
It's how you get really consistent. Like my close rate was always around the same on every offer because my process was just the fucking same. Like I'd always be asking the same questions, but my situational questions would always be different based on what they say.
But
If you
yeah,
looked
sorry.
at my transcript, you'd always see the same like five, six questions, but the questions that follow would almost always be different.
One thing I want to ask, like, I can 100% that makes sense, right? But how do you like balance it and make it to be a point where you don't just kind of like be scripted robot and just try push to those questions all the time, and you forget to really understand their exact problem? Because, for example, this is what I always think, because I heard this advice before, is like,
Mhm.
what if you're pushing someone, like to use the example you said, what if you're pushing someone in the car sales, long hours, family kind of pain, but they have a deeper pain within something else, and that's their real pain. Do you know what I mean? And you miss out
100%,
because you just,
right? Because so what I'm doing, right, is I'm just trying to uncover the obvious stuff, right? It's like if you were an archaeologist, right, you just try and find the biggest bone first. And then it becomes
mm,
much easier to find the rest of the skeleton.
okay.
So like the thing that you need to like, so you're only asking five questions, right? Of like
Yeah.
current questions. That's maybe like 2 minutes. You have another 20 of your discovery where like the systematic questions can lead you anywhere, right? So like
Yeah.
that's like every single call is going to be a unique, different call because of that. But your framework is just structured around those five questions. And like I said, you can ask them at any point. So you could ask them back to back to back. And then with your last one, start going into other like situational questions.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
You got it?
No, no, I get what you're saying. It's basically like it's the low hanging fruit. You know what I mean? Like you can
Yeah.
just get that and then go into the other things.
It's the easiest way to score a point, is the way I'd look at it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I get exactly what you're saying.
So obviously when we first start the discovery, right? That's where we're really going to be relying on our initial questions of what do you do for work, things like that, right? The middle, once you start to get to know them, one thing that you're going to come to identify is what stopped these people from doing it, right? Like, for why aren't you a millionaire?
Um, Probably because I haven't put enough time into a craft to get that good enough to earn that kind of money.
Right. You know that, right? Because obviously it's what you do for a job is to identify what people's problems are, right?
Yeah.
All these people won't have realized the reason they're not where they want to be isn't anything but themselves. The reason all of
Oh
you are
yeah.
on this call today and you want to get to where you want to be is because you made that change and you're committed to making a difference. These people haven't realized yet that that's on them. So the
Mhm.
middle of our discovery is really centered around and focused on, okay, well, why haven't you made a change? What are some usual answers you get to that?
Too busy.
Too busy?
Can't find the right opportunity.
Can't find the right opportunity?
Externalizing, blaming things like the government or increasing prices or so on.
The government never had that one.
Yeah, bro, I had that one the other day.
The government? Fucking hell. That's not
Not sure where to start.
not sure where to start.
Skepticism of these courses and these kind of things. I've heard they're all scams.
Skepticism. So what are we noticing from all these answers? What are we noticing? What's the common theme with them?
Limiting beliefs.
What else?
They're all
Oh,
external.
they're all objections.
Yeah. They're all excuses, limiting beliefs, and objections. And if you can learn to solve these in the center of your calls and you can change that person's perspective, you get to the end, you say 5 grand, and they either say, let's do it, or I don't have enough money. Can I split it up?
Mm-hmm.
And it's really that simple. If somebody says to you, let's say, for example, I was on a call with Hassan, and Hassan says to me, he says, I'm too busy. First thing I'd say is, okay, well, are you going to quit your job? Or your kids going anywhere?
No.
Okay, so I guess we're just fucked then. We're never going to make it. No, I'd find the time. I'll make it happen. Well, would you? Because you haven't yet.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you feel like whose responsibility do you feel like it is to put in that extra hours, put in that extra time, even though it might lose some sleep and might have a little less time to do what you enjoy?
It's my responsibility.
Of course it is, right? So you just got to flip the fucking blame onto them because, like, I was busy. When I got in this industry, I was working fucking 12 hours a day in car sales. I was staying up till 3 a.m. taking calls, getting up at 8 and going to the dealership because I just fucking wanted it, right? I could have easily sat on the call with Tom Eider and been like, I'm busy. I'm too busy, man. I'll never make it. And I would have never made it. I'd still be slinging cars now. But I got out of my own way and broke that limiting belief on my own part. If I'm not busy, I'm just using my time ineffectively. Another one. What was our other one? So we had busy. We had don't know where to start. So I don't know where to start, right? First thing you'd say to them is you'd say, okay, awesome. I assume that's why you're on the call today is you're looking for the place to start. Yeah. Okay. And let's say that you found the perfect situation, course, whatever you want to use that feels like the right way to go. And it feels like that starting block to get you to where you want to be. Would you join?
Yeah.
Why?
Because this is finally that opportunity for me to achieve X, Y, Z.
And for you, Atfer, what does that opportunity look like in your mind?
X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah.
And then what do you think we're going to do in the pitch?
But one thing though, like let's say, bro, like let's say they've not done something for literally 2 years and they give that BS, like I don't know where to start. Could you not like go a deeper layer? Because that's not the real reason, bro. Because 2 years, for 2 years you didn't know where to start,
Let me
bro.
finish, bro. I was about to tell you.
Oh, okay, sorry, bro.
I think fear of failure plays into that as well.
So
yeah,
what I do, right, is so I say, what does that perfect thing look like for you? Right?
Oh, it looks like X, Y, Z.
And I take a mental note of that because when I pitch you, I'm going to tell you that exact same fucking thing, right? But then what I do is I go, okay, and obviously for how long have you been looking for something like this?
I mean, probably like a year and a bit. Well, that's how long I've been struggling.
A year and a bit, and you've not found anything even remotely close to thinking that will get you where you want to be.
I mean, like, I've seen a couple things, but I just don't feel like it's the right thing for me, you know?
Okay, what makes it the right thing?
You know, something like I don't think I have anything in specific. It's just like, you know, you can just look at something, I know you've got a passion for it and you can do it. It's just kind of waiting to find that right thing.
Okay. But do you feel like the right thing's just magically going to come across your desk one day?
Well, probably not. Probably not.
Because let me
No.
ask you this, Afro. Obviously, you said you have a girlfriend, right?
Yeah, I've got a girlfriend.
Is she perfect in every way? She's never annoyed you. You've never had an argument?
No, of course not.
No, of course not, right? And the thing is with life, man, is we need to make compromises at some point. So do you think it's fair to say that right now what we're actually doing is we're just delaying the inevitable and we're actually just pushing the blame onto it not being the perfect thing or it not being the right thing? When in reality, maybe it's just a little bit of a fear to take that jump.
I think it's a bit of both for sure. Like at the end of the day, of course, like you're gonna always have that fear when you do anything. But at the same time, I just don't want to like get into something and then it's like, oh, I don't really like this, you know? It is both, obviously.
100%. Let me ask you something though, Atfer. Would you rather that you got into something, it got you out of your situation, you were able to travel and maybe look into something else? Or would you rather you just continue to work at McDonald's, made 2K a month and never got out of those? Which one would actually be the worst case scenario?
Yeah, worst case is doing nothing and being stuck in my job.
Okay, so it's fair to say then that the only thing holding us back is actually that fear of failure.
Yeah, because obviously if you don't try, you're never gonna get it.
Exactly. Right. So see how I've went that late.
Yeah.
What I did is while I had you in the positive mindset, I got my stuff ready for the pitch. So again, right, it's asking the right question at the right time. So like
Nah,
while
for
you're
sure, I can
talking
see that.
about the right perfect thing, I'm gonna ask, well, what is that perfect thing, man? Tell me about it. And then when you tell me, I'm gonna fucking kill you because your situation isn't that. Right.
Yeah. Well, you know, one thing, like I see some guys like they ask, this is something I don't know whether I should do. They ask a why now. So like let's say they've been in the same position for 2 years because of X reason. They say, now is it different? And then they get some buy-in and then they go into doing this process. But some people don't ask, like, what's your opinion on that?
You know what? A why now is a 50-50. Like if you have somebody on the call, right, and they're telling you like my life sucks, I need to make this change, I need to do all this, and like they're very open about they know they need to make a change, why would you ask them why now? Like they've already told you, right? The people that
No,
are
more
why
so
the people that are why now is
the
really good for and really effective with is A types, people who have a lot of ego.
Okay.
but more so the timing. So for example, right, let's
Oh,
say you get the fear. So like let's say like for 2 years, what stopped you from taking action? For 2 years, I've been skeptical that there's all these courses online. Okay, well, why now are you willing to take that step, even though there's that skepticism there? Why now after those 2 years? That kind of why now? Does
that's
that make sense?
yeah. No, that's a question I'd ask in every single discovery.
Okay, okay. So you'll ask that and then you'll still go through the limiting beliefs thing.
Exactly. Because I'm going to ask why now, and then they'll tell you what's changed, right? And then you can say, okay, and it's fair to say that that belief held you back. And that's why we're still 2 years on working at McDonald's.
Because then you get tied down on both sides in it. Like they'll build why they are and then you still break. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Gosh. All right. So that's the middle. And then once moving on to the discovery, a huge mistake that I see a lot of people make, and I see it happen all the time on calls, is they get this huge amount of pain and then they go, all right, man, awesome. That's a lot of stuff. So what's the goal? And it's like you've just like murdered this guy, told him that his life sucks. Then you just go, awesome, man. So what's the goal? And there's like no transition into where they want to get to. Whereas what we actually need to do is we need to say, listen, man, I appreciate you opening up and obviously hearing about your situation. It definitely sounds like something that we need to get you out of as soon as possible. So when it comes to getting out of it, I mean, when we get you into the program, what are the next 3-6 months looking like in your head if you could imagine them? And like take him on that transition instead of just like, so what's the goal, bro? Because it just ends up negatively impacting the flow of the conversation. So a huge thing is just transitioning them down and also getting the tie down in terms of, so obviously right now you're in a position that we don't want to stay in, right? Would you agree with that? Yes.
Yeah.
So talking about getting to that next stage of life, what do you envision the next 3 to 6 months looking like in an ideal world? And then you get the tie down on him not staying the same. Because if you let them away with staying the same there, they can stay the same at the end of the call. But you can bring them back and then say, remember when we talked about how you had that fear of failing and you said, I don't want to stay the same. What's changed? So you can get that early tie down and really box them off as early and as soon as possible. That's the current. Does anybody have any questions about the current or anything that they want to add? Anything at all?
Yeah, just go back over that last part when you're talking about the transitions into the goals, making that shift.
So let's say you ask me your last question, Sam. Transition me into future pace.
I'd be like, just what's changed for you to make this a priority for yourself now? And then from that point, I would go into what they've said to me and then I'd ask them, why haven't you done anything so far? And then I'd ask them, so what needs to change? And then I'd go into their goals.
But what would you say? So you ask me, why does it need to change? And I say, oh, man, I'm sick of X, Y, Z.
Okay. So then I'd be like, so if you're sick of X, Y, and Z, what do you think that you need to do differently in order to make that change?
I don't know, man. That's why I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I completely understand where you come from. And, if you'd say that you don't know, do you think that in order to reach a certain level or in order to actually do
So
something else that
let
you need
me
to
show
change
you
something?
that, right? So after I ask you, like, so obviously we go through where you are right now, why you want to make a change, right? And then I say, okay, so obviously right now, Hassan, you want to make a change, right? You don't want to stay where you are right now, working in X, Y, Z. And I'm going to give you all of your big pain points, right?
Okay.
I'm going to say you don't want to keep working at McDonald's, working those long hours, not seeing your girlfriend, and not going another 6 months without seeing your friend. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So when it comes to the next 3 to 6 months, obviously all being well and everything working out the way we want it to, what does that look like if you could imagine it and everything worked out perfectly?
Yeah, completely. You're tying in the pain with the future pace.
Yeah, I'm saying like this is now where we talk about getting you out of that pain.
Yeah. And then
Like
once they give you that answer,
a
they're
lot
gonna
of
have
people
that
do a
comparison.
recap before they pitch, right? I do a
Yeah.
recap before future pace and
hmm
before pitch. But the pitch, all I'm recapping is their future.
hmm
Because now, like after the discovery, everything's positive. So when I pitch, it's positive.
hmm
Do you know the tie down? Is that after you've done your desires?
No. So that's after I've done like current.
That's so let's say you get the limiting belief, you kill them pretty much, and then you transition into the desires.
Yeah.
How do you get the tie down? Would you not get the tie down right at the pinnacle of the pain of the limited
No, so it's
beliefs?
not like a tie down the way you're thinking about it. It's a very like minuscule tie down. But my tie down is me saying to them, saying, so obviously going through your situation right now, we're struggling with XYZ pain point. And obviously it sounds like that's not something that you want to carry on doing, and it's a priority for us to move away from that. Is that right?
Yeah.
And that's my tie down.
But do you still like, because I found it works best to do a tie down right at the top of the pain during the limiting belief, so are you willing to settle for that? No, like are you genuinely committed to being this person XYZ?
That's after like the like, are you willing to like, how does that, like, is this something you want to carry on doing? Like this is right at the end.
Okay, yeah, so okay, it's not involved. Okay, makes
It's
sense.
just a recap on the whole thing, and then I get a final tie down before I move on to the future.
Yeah, no, I get you. That makes sense.
It's also just a nice transition into future as well, where you just show them that you've basically been listening the whole time.
hmm
Okay. Sweet.
I've got a quick question, Jordan. Obviously, I know this is kind of tailored towards more biz op, but with fitness, would you still structure it the same? Like you'd get current state first, then limiting beliefs, then future, or
Why would you say it's more tailored to biz op?
just from the conversation that you're having?
They're the exact same thing.
Okay, so you wouldn't go into like goals initially. You would always start with current state.
Always start with the pain, man.
Okay.
Always start with the pain. That's what they buy off of. Nobody buys off their goals. They only buy because they're not at their goals, which is the pain.
I had a question about that. I've seen like certain closes that they won't even do like the desired state in the typical status quo way that the high ticket place thing. Like they literally have like 3 minutes in desires, get decent things, and like bro, their discoveries are so much shorter, and they just put a lot of their like points into the current. Like, what's your opinion on that? Do you feel like you still need to have a crazy desires?
Desires isn't that important, to be honest. Like if you have a
That's
shit,
what I've.
if you have a shit current situation, like your desires ain't saving you.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't think I've ever closed anyone from having a good desires, but I've closed people from having a good current.
The reason that desires is important, right? The reason that it actually matters, and this is what I'm coming to now, is because this is what your pitch is going to be. The way that you build your pitch is by going through your desired, right? It's like if you came to buy a car from Yatfer, right? I start with desired. I ask, oh, how many seats do you want? Why do you want this? What do you want? Then the first car I bring you to is the exact desired situation you've just told me. So that's all the
Okay.
pitch is, right? Is the desired situation and how I'm going to sell you that.
How do you like intertwine it? Is it like specific features within the pitch that you use, or is it
Give
just
me an
like the
example.
adjective?
Give me an example of a desire.
Fucking, I want to make 10K per month so I can live in Bali.
100% offer. So now I'm in pitch, right? And our third pillar,
Yeah.
that's our job board. So all of the jobs we post are anywhere from that 10K a month that you wanted to be living in Bali, right the way up to 40K a month. So you could be living in Bali 4 times. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
Now you're thinking like, man, like the most I want to earn, that's the least they have.
Yeah.
And it just breaks
Yeah.
up so much, right? And it just feels like it's personalized and tailored to you.
You're bringing it to them as if like this is the opportunity that's essentially just going to get you what you want, basically.
Yeah, you want them to think like, man,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is everything I've ever been looking for. Well, fucking
yeah.
course, that's my job, right? Like
Mm,
you want them to feel like it's what they need.
Mhm.
okay. No, I never. That's really good advice, bro.
Thank you, brother. And obviously, the middle, right, is a big thing that people miss out on the desired is bringing in the feelings of how they'll feel when they get there. So bringing in, how would you feel when you're making 10K a month living in Bali? I'd feel good. You just feel good. After all these years of struggling in Mackie, you just feel all right if you were sitting on the beach in Bali. No, I'd feel like the fucking man. Because you want to build them up as much as possible in the desired so that when you come to price drop, they have 2 options. One, they can become the man, or two, they can go back to serving fries at McDonald's. Like that's the options that you want to give them. Is you build them up so much in the desired so that when you pitch, it's literally like a roller coaster. If you pick, do you go down or do you carry on?
Yeah.
And then I've put this the wrong way around. Transition into the confirmation. So after the desired, just recap them on everything, write down some notes so that you can then tailor the pitch to them, and then you just close the fuck out of them. It's really
Mhm.
easy. But that's my absolute masterclass on discovery. Has anybody got any questions around that? Anything that they want to go over? Now, moving on to the pitch, right? So when we pitch, and just like Jimmy was talking about there, when we pitch, we always want to pitch with 3 pillars, right? Now, for the first pillar, what is the key part of the first pillar? Anybody?
It needs to solve their biggest pain.
Biggest pain. Okay. Anything else?
Solve it fast, I guess.
So I don't quite do it like that, right? So I instead what I start with is it needs to do both of these because like the reality is their biggest pain will also be a lot of the time their biggest desire, if that makes sense. So what I always start with straight away is their biggest desire, right? So because what drives a lot of people is the future, right? So if I open up the pitch and the first thing I'm telling you about, Sam, is how you're going to solve that problem and you're going to be in this situation, you're buzzing. And then I can go,
Mm.
and also it'll fix this. So then I go into their biggest pain. And then what I do with the second pillar is I focus the second pillar around what I feel like will help them the most and tie it into them. They might not have even realized it themselves. So biggest gap that they have, right? So whether that's like a community because they don't really have a lot of people around them that are doing the same thing, whether that's accountability because they don't actually realize that they need accountability, like whatever it is, right? And we're solving that. And then the third is always just to bring them all together. Now, what should we be doing in between every single pillar?
Like clarify and ask if they have any questions on any of the pillars.
Any questions? Anything else we should be doing?
Like a tie down.
Tie down. Anything else?
Well, like, does that actually sound like it would be beneficial for you. It would actually help you achieve X, Y, Z.
Temperature check.
Not a temperature check. You can't do that after every pillar.
No, that's what I've read.
Nah, I wouldn't do a temperature check. That'd be so annoying. On a scale of 1 to 10, how does that sound? How does that sound? How does that
I
sound?
know, I know, but everything, like they said, every pillar you go through, it's like, do you see how that could help you? Do you have any questions in regards to that? So you do
Yeah,
not do that. You just ask it at the end.
That's a tie down. It's not a temperature check.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's all good, bro. But yeah, so Sam, you were bang on with a tie down. So after every single pillar, what you want to be getting is you want to be getting a tie down just to make sure that one, they feel like it can actually help them, and two, asking them questions. So the way I treat the pitch is like objection handling. So when I ask them, so after the first pillar, like, does that all make sense? How does that sound? They'll be like, amazing. I'll be like, well, what do you feel like would work the best for you out of that? And then they'll tell me, and then I'll be like, okay, and do you have any questions regarding that? No. Okay, amazing. And that way I know when I drop the price on them, like there's no objection they can give around value or around like understanding. Does that all make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Rowan, what was your question again? Remind me.
Yeah, it was
Other one.
it was just about like how do you really start the pitch once you've gone through the whole discovery, you know what they want and their own pain and all of that. You can't just say like how do you actually say, okay, this is the solution and carry out the whole pitch really.
Okay. So let's say, right, so you're coming out of your cost of inaction, your future pace. So what I say is I say, okay, amazing. With everything we have gone through, oh my God. Hold on. Amazing. With everything we have gone through, you sound like you would be the perfect fit. Perfect fit for XYZ program because of XYZ. And then you give them like the desire, or you give them the pain, and you tell them why they are the perfect fit for them. And then all you say is, and what I would love to do is walk you through how or exactly how we would get you to XYZ goal. If you want to hear it, right? So you want to ask their permission to pitch them. So let me make this more eligible for you, bro. 2 seconds.
So when you say like as a little recap and you give them back what they've told you and the reasons why you think they're a good fit, is the reason why they're a good fit just like really their pain, like the fact that they want to get out of it?
It's like, so the way you think about the reason they're a good fit, it's the reason that you think you can close them.
Right, okay.
Like
Okay.
that's basically what we're doing there, right?
Yeah.
Is you're trying to understand like why would you actually even want to close this person? Because you know that
Okay.
you can help them because of XYZ reason, right?
Could you give an example of
Yeah.
that?
So let's say, for example, right, there's somebody like I'm like, let me think of that last call I took with Camden, right? Where he told me that he's been trying for ages, he's close to quitting, but he doesn't want to give up. So I'd say, okay, amazing, Camden. With everything we've gone through, you sound like you would be the perfect fit for what we do here at K Trades. The reason for that is because obviously you've been struggling with the psychology and you've been at a bit of a roadblock, but you keep trying, you're not looking to give up, and you're willing to
Right.
do whatever it takes to get there. So what I'd
Yeah.
love to do is walk you through exactly how we would get you to that 20, 30K a month with trading. That is if you want to hear it, man. Oh, of
Yeah,
course I'd love to.
that makes a lot of sense.
And
Okay.
then I can just go into my pitch, right?
Yeah, yeah, okay. Nice.
Easy, brother. Easy. All right. Anybody else got any questions around the pitch and why we pitch, how we pitch, anything?
Yeah, Jordan, I was going to ask if you do give like an example again of like a tie down in between like a pillar, like how you do it.
Okay. So let's say, for example, that our 3 pillars were coaching, fucking, what else could there be? course.
Community.
Yeah, the
A
classic.
classic, yeah.
Every single info product, the exact same. And community, right? So all I'd say is I'd come to the end of the coaching and I'd say, and that's an overview of how our coaching works and everything like that. In terms of everything I went through with the coaching, Rowan, does that all make sense? Did you have any questions?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. And with all of our coaching, do you see how that would help you to get to that 10, 15K a month by having Cole in your corner?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And do you feel like there'd be anything missing with the coaching that would maybe you'd need to get to there?
No, not from what I've seen.
Okay, fantastic. Now moving on to our second pillar, what we do is, and then you just go into it, right?
Yeah, nice.
Like, so I'm just tying them down to every pillar to be like, it's not the program that's the problem.
Yeah. And the last question, like, is there anything you feel that wouldn't, or anything that is missing?
Yeah. Or you're not even missing. You just say like, is there anything that you feel like maybe you're a little unsure about, or maybe you want me to clarify?
All right, sweet. Sick.
Like that was why, like with CC, it was such a good pitch, is because like it was like everything you wanted.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just about tailoring it and personalizing it, and then you're in the fucking money basically.
Yeah.
Have you ever had it? And what do you do if they say no and they do want something else from it?
I never had it, to be honest. Because so
All
the way
right.
you got to think about it, right, is it's all like about your discovery, understanding what they need.
Yeah.
Like if I saw if you like if I can genuinely persuade you that my solution can solve your problem, what the fuck else could you possibly need?
Yeah. What would you do just in theory? If I did say like, if you were like, oh, does that all everything you want? No, I don't know, a pathway to something else. I want a placement on an offer.
Okay.
Maybe not placement on an offer because that's quite easy for you to bet. I know where you're going already.
I was expecting a lot harder than that.
Yeah.
Maybe the
But like
man.
say, something's missing, like I don't know, I can't think of an example. It's quite hard to do.
Like I want one-to-one coaching.
Oh yeah, fine.
I just say, okay. And do you feel like with one-to-one coaching, like what do you feel like would be the difference between one-to-one coaching to group coaching?
Just more attention to me, really.
Okay. And obviously, if you had an hour every day, do you feel like you'd have enough questions to be able to fill out that hour and make sure that you got the most of it?
I feel like that. Yeah, I definitely have a lot to go through, and there's a lot I want to talk about.
Okay. But do you also feel like if you were on the group coaching and you were hearing questions from closers that were months ahead of you, do you feel like that would actually allow you to get better and improve much quicker than asking the beginner questions over and over again until you got to grips with that? Or do you feel like seeing where you could be and hearing that higher level stuff ahead of time would be more useful?
100%. I completely agree with what you're saying, but I kind of like the idea of having both so that I get that personal attention, can sort of run through my own calls and things like that, and also so that I can, have those group questions, group conversations.
Yeah, but obviously you bring your calls to the group coaching calls. So instead of just getting one person's feedback, you're actually getting 10 to 15 people's feedback.
Yeah, useful.
Right? That was pretty shit, but that's actually
it's quite a hard one to go through.
Yeah, I just thought about that. I was like, thank fuck nobody says that.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, valid.
It's never happened to me, but
I'm gonna have to change. I'm gonna have to add one-to-one coaching for the program now. You've realized
that's all I wanted. I just wanted one-to-one in here.
I think like if someone tells you something that they're wanting from it, like what Jordan asked there is like what's most important is understanding why they're asking for that.
Yeah.
Because there'll be a reason why, and you can just unpack that. And there's probably more times than not something in the program that actually addresses that concern anyway.
Yeah, but it's difficult when it's something like tangible, like I want one-to-one coaching. Like that is because it's like you also know that there's other programs that offer that.
Yeah, you also set yourself up with that bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they like say if you're on like a fitness program and it was like group coaching, like someone could very easily be like one-to-one.
I'll just hire a PT.
Yeah, but I also feel like that would have come up in the discovery.
No, I agree. It's definitely handleable. it's you can handle it for sure.
Yeah.
But like if you got that in the middle of the pitch, that would be fucking tough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're a bit
we-
cooked.
Yeah, you're Kyle cooked if that comes up in the pitch, I reckon. Oh, personally. But yeah, that's an overview on framing and pitching. Did anybody have any more questions around pitching or framing? Yeah. So the main thing I want to go over today was objections. In terms of objections, what are the objections that we struggle with the most at the moment out of the usual ones?
I wanna try this myself, but you can't but you can't pre-handle it, bro. Like you can't pre-handle it in Discovery.
Well, obviously, we're talking about the objection section of it, bro. But what
No, but
about, like aside from that example that you gave?
in general, like I want to do this myself approach because usually how I'd handle it is in the like if let's say I'm selling trading, I'd say, okay, why do you want to do mentorship as opposed to doing this yourself? And I break that belief in the Discovery. But on this offer, we don't want to let them know that it's coaching early on and that they're going to get some sort of support. So I can't break that belief early on. So I need to figure out how to do it in the objections.
Okay, so what do you think you'd say if I said I need to do it myself?
Okay. It really depends on context. Like if you've been doing it for 15 years, I'll say, okay, you've been trying to do this yourself over the last 15 years and not been successful. Why would you keep trying to do the same thing over and again, expecting a different result?
Okay.
But it's more difficult if it's like 1 to 2 years.
Well, what would you say?
If it's 1 to 2 years, I'd say, okay, I'd probably get a bit more clarity. Like, what's pushing you to want to try and do this by yourself as opposed to really getting expert coaching?
I think I can do it myself.
Okay. See, that's what I struggle with because I can't say, why'd you book this call? Because the call isn't about coaching. Like, they don't know they're getting coaching. That's what I'd want to ask.
Yeah, but that's why I don't like those offers. Like I don't like debating
Yeah.
personally. Like I just don't enjoy them. Like when you have somebody who comes on the call, right? So let's say it's something like coaching or anything like that. It's pretty simple, right? If they say they've only been doing it 1.5 years, what you leverage is time it takes, right? So you give them the idea of, I mean, like if you wanted to learn how to trade after, how long would that take you yourself?
Fucking 3, 4 years or some shit.
If you had somebody who already makes 30, 40K a month teach you how to do it, how long would it take?
Probably like 6 months to a year.
Yeah, right. So you're removing the
Oh.
time. So you get to the result much quicker. So all you need to do is explain that to them and get them to realize that they're not actually paying for anything, but they're buying their time back, right? So that money investment that they're
Oh.
giving you is actually a result to get the time that it will take to do it themselves.
That's a really good way. I might use that.
And then the 15 years is the exact same thing, right? It's the same, exactly like you said. You're just going to get the same result, right? What are you going to do differently? I don't know. Right? Because like if we have a problem and we can fix it, we all just fix it, right?
Hmm.
If we have a problem and we can't fix it, we need to get somebody else to fix it or show us how to fix it. Because if we know how to fix a problem that we have, we just fucking fix it, right? So you need to point that out to them and say, you've been trying for 15 years. Clearly, it's out of your capabilities to fix this. So why wouldn't you pay somebody that you do genuinely believe can fix it for you?
Right. I tried to say that with the lady, like, because I literally tried to say, okay, well, it's been 2 years already.
Yeah, but she's just going to say, I just bought the toolkit. So I'm just going to try use the toolkit.
Yeah. I did ask a good question when she was stumped, but I don't know how to build up on it. Because, yeah.
Rowan, well, you got your hand up, bruv.
Yeah, bro. I was gonna say like maybe the wrong thing to ask, but like depending on like the context of the call. But if they say like I'm gonna do it myself, could you just ask like, well, why haven't you got there already then? Like I know it's kind of black and white and it could be too blunt, but I don't know. I'm just like,
yeah, I mean, what I'd ask a lot of people is I'd say, well, why haven't you then? Right?
yeah,
Like if I can do
yeah,
something myself, like I couldn't be a fucking millionaire by myself, could I? Like if I could have, I would have been there a long fucking time ago, right? Like to get to these stages, we all need to have something or have somebody to get us there. So when people say, oh, I could just do this myself. Well, why haven't you then? And usually, what do they say to this when you ask them this? I want an answer. I'm not going to give it to you.
Give us, well, like give a limiting belief, externalize it.
Yeah. Give an example.
Well, I just
Time
haven't had the
or
time.
like not enough time, maybe, or not having the right help.
They didn't have the information.
Not the right help. It can't be that one because they're going to do it themselves.
It wasn't a priority yet.
Priority. Fuck. Okay. What do we respond if they say they haven't had the time? What do you think we say? Or what would you say to that for anybody?
Have you been allocating the time to do it? Like kind of break the belief like we all have the time. It depends like what you use it for.
But Jordan, do you not feel by asking why haven't you now then? That's just like an extra obstacle you're putting for free. Because now you got to handle this whole thing as opposed to just not saying that and just fucking doing the other thing instead.
Well, what would you say?
That makes
like I just want to do it myself.
Yeah, then I'd go into the one on the right, either okay, the time it takes or the same result. Like if I just then go into why haven't you now then, it's like 2 layers of objection handling for the one objection I could have just handled with one way.
Yeah, but the reason that we do this, right, is not always they're going to tell you how long they've been trying to do it for.
What do you mean?
Like so let's say that they've just come across what you do, right? They've never tried it before.
But that's rare though. That's usually
but
the truth.
like,
It
do you
happens.
want to close 50% of people or do you want to close everybody? Like, it's rare, but we still need to prepare for if it happens.
Yeah, okay. Fair point. That's a good point.
Yeah, don't try correct me. Fucking little bitch. So haven't had the time. What do we say to them?
Isn't it just basically back? How long have you been trying then?
Kind of. Anything else?
Would you ask maybe why do you feel like you have the time now?
Yeah, that's along the right lines. Anybody else?
Yeah, you could go
How
down
much
the
time would you have in a day?
Their time's not going to change. So like,
What did you do differently to have time now? What did you change now that you have time?
That's what I'd say, well, what's going to change? Kids, work, etc. They aren't going anywhere, right? Like after the call with Rowan, all of a sudden they don't have to look after the kids or don't have to go to work anymore. Like the time doesn't change after one simple call. And then after we ask them this, what they'll say is, well, no, but now it's something I need to think about, or it's something I need to think more about, right? And try and figure out how I can work out the time. So figure out, right? And then what do we do from there? So when they say, yeah, you're right, it's something I need to figure out, what do we say?
Well, when we look at this together, what actually makes more sense? You taking more time to actually figure out how you're going to make the time for this, or you get some expert help and do it in 25% of the time that it would have taken you to work out anyway.
Right lines. So what I'd say after they say they need to figure it out is I'd say, let's figure it out together. Right? And then what you're doing is you're acting as the bridge between where they are right now and where they want to get to. And you say, okay, well, how much time do you have to dedicate to this? They'll say like 2 hours or something. And then you could be like, okay, well, do you feel like it's going to be possible to learn a complete skill from scratch with 2 hours a day? Or do you feel like you need that extra guided help on the specific things that you need? Because the only way to learn in a short time is to have very tailored and specific learning modules or very specific training, right? It's almost impossible to learn a new skill by yourself with 2 hours a day.
What if they bring up an objection that like, oh, I won't have time to get that personalized help in the 2 hours that I have? Like they'll probably be like, oh, I have to take my kids to this or that. I won't be able to run a meeting for this personalized help.
Repeat that, bro. Your mic's washed.
My bad. Like if they say that they won't be able to make it for these personalized meetings in that 2 hour time frame, how would you handle that? Like to say, I gotta drop off my kids or something like that.
Yeah, so I mean, most programs you're gonna have, right? They're not just gonna have like 1 or 2 calls a week. So, like, you can ask them, like, obviously, there's 5 calls a week. Are you not going to be able to make a single one of those? If they say no, it'll be like, okay, well, would you be able to work it around with your partner? Would she be able to maybe take them on a Thursday and a Tuesday so that this can be a priority for you? Maybe. I mean, realistically, man, I mean, do you think your partner would want you to learn this skill and be able to have the time to actually look after the kids and be there 24/7? Or would she rather that you aren't able to do it because you can pick up an extra round of dropping off the kids? So I put it as a like shifting it onto them, right? The responsibility of making it happen is how you deal with that. Does that make sense? Bosh. Awesome. All right. And then what you'll get from there is once you figure it out with them, is they'll give you the real objection 99% of the time, right? Okay. So that's how you deal with the I haven't had the time, right? If somebody says it hasn't been a priority for them, what do we say to them?
Why?
Why?
Why do you feel like it's priority now?
Nah. So why is the perfect answer, right? It hasn't been a priority for me. Why not? Right? And then what do they say?
I have other priorities like my kids or blah 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 blah.
It's ETC. And what are they doing by saying that?
Externalizing, rationalizing.
Exactly, right? So then what do we do from there?
You you break the belief as to why like that doesn't really mean anything.
Yes and no, because obviously it does mean something, right? So instead, what you do is you tie in that externalization of their other priorities into this, right? And you can do this with any offer. Say it's a biz op offer, right? Do you think you'd be able to have more time and more experiences with the kids if you made more money? Yeah. Okay. So why isn't this a priority for the kids? Fitness, right? Spend more time, exercise more with the kids, play with the kids more.
Can you say what you said for the biz up for the fitness example, please?
Yeah, so literally all you'd say to them, right, is you'd say 100%. But obviously for you, I'm sure that you realize that fitness is a huge thing for longevity in life, right? If you don't fix your mobility, could you see that in the future when you have grandkids and when your kids start to get older, it'd be harder to keep up with them and maintain that same active lifestyle? Yes, okay. And so should that not also be a priority for you?
Hmm. Can you say it in a frame? Like I love the way you said it in the biz up, the frame that by prioritizing this, you basically are prioritizing the kids.
Yeah, you say obviously if your kids are such a priority for you, why aren't you currently prioritizing the longevity of your mobility and your energy to be able to have fun with your kids and exercise with your kids?
Yeah, I like okay. That's good, bro. Thank you.
Oh, good, bro. Alex, you got your hand up?
Yeah, so something that I've had like 3 different times and I'm having a hard time arguing is that they say that they just need to check their accounts and move their money, that they've got it, but they need to go either speak to their accountant, and they just put it off saying that they do not have the opportunity of doing it right now, that they just need to move money or stuff like that. And I just don't know how to debate it. They just say it's like a must, that there's no way that they can just do it on the moment.
How much money have you got in your bank account?
You interested in how much money I got? No, I'm joking. But
No, but like if I asked you, would you know?
yeah.
Okay. Dexter, if I asked you how much money you had in your bank account, would you have a rough idea?
I'd know to basically the pound, bro.
Yeah, of course you do, right? Every single one of us does, right? You can ask them, okay, well, obviously looking at the money you do have in your bank account or roughly what you think you have, does this investment make sense for you? Yeah. And then you can ask them, like, do they have online banking? Do they have XYZ? Right? And you can make sure that it lines up for them. Does that make sense, Alex?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that like this guy said like his account was joined in to the company and he had to speak to his accountant. But yeah, I guess it is just a smoke screen. Yeah, I think it's more of my limiting belief of like respecting their space that I kind of need to go over.
Well, the accountant might be a real thing if it's a business, right? Because
Yeah.
you actually need the accountant to approve.
Yeah.
But that can be real. All right, next objection. In terms of partner, right? With partner, I've got it in both sides here because it can be a real objection and it can also be a smokescreen. Does anybody know the difference between it being a smokescreen and being a real objection?
Well, the partner one,
Yes.
when like when they actually have to speak to their partner compared to when they're just using it because they're
Yeah.
scared.
Like how do you bridge the gap between it being a real objection and a smokescreen?
It's gonna, I don't know.
Specifically with the partner.
Yes.
Maybe if the partner is the one that has the money.
Okay, but how do you ask that? You don't just know that.
Yeah, no, but I thought that was
But how do you bridge the
differentiate it.
gap, right? Like how do you figure out that it's a real objection?
Would you ask if it's about getting permission or whether it's about just letting them know that you want to make that decision?
Yes, that's one way to do it. Anything else?
Asking the objection the partner would have for them joining.
Yeah, that's a good way to understand it. But in terms of bridging between is it smokescreen, is it a real objection? The best way, like Rowan says, is to just ask, is it a permission thing or is it just to let them know? Right? Because if it's a permission thing, then you know that the decision maker is most likely the other person, right? And you'll ask them, okay, well, why do you need to ask your partner for permission? Oh, because it's his money, it's her money, whatever it is, right? And then that's how we identify that it's a real objection. But if it's a smokescreen, right? What do we say when they say, okay, I just need to speak to my partner?
Go for
100%. What would you need to speak to your partner about?
Repeat that, Justin.
You just agree with them and like make it seem okay, and then you just ask them what would they need to speak to their partner about.
Did we not do anything before that?
Get a confirmation.
the tie
Information.
down.
Yeah, confirmation / tie down. And then we ask them what you said, Justin, where we ask them why, right? And a key thing that we do differently with a partner objection to anything else is we ask them for any possible objections that they could have. So you'd ask them, okay, well, why do you feel like you need to speak to your partner? What do you feel like could come up for them that would potentially stop them with stop you from moving forward? And then what's the usual continuation we get from that question?
Probably nothing.
Money or logistics.
So sometimes you'll get the real objection, right? Sometimes you'll get lucky and they'll just give you the real objection. A lot of times, though, what they'll do is they'll say, oh, nothing. Or they'll say nothing, or they'll say the most common answer you're gonna get is, I don't know. I need to ask them. Right? So if they say, I don't know, I need to ask them, what do we say to them?
How long you been married for, with them for?
How long you been together, right? And then when they say XYZ, what do we say to follow up from that?
Well, I'd like to think you know them pretty well at this point.
Know them pretty well. What do you think they would say, right? And then the answer you get a lot of the time is, well, I imagine real objection, right? And they'll just come out and tell you most of the time. When they say nothing, what do we say following that? Anybody but Dexter. Justin, you got the last one wrong, so get this one right.
No. Why nothing? Okay, so well, I don't know, bro. Like I don't I genuinely I don't know.
So let's say, right, we're role playing, right? And I said to you, or you said to me, you said, okay, that makes sense. Why do you feel like you need to speak to your partner? And what do you feel like could possibly come up for her to say no? And I say nothing. Well, the thing is with this, actually, it'd probably be something other than nothing. It'd probably be like, oh, just to let her know nothing, right? And then what would you say to follow that, Justin? Come on. You're on a closing offer, bro. What if your prospect says this to you?
So then I just take it back, like, okay, so it's more just a permission thing, if you're just letting them know.
No, I don't need her permission. It's just to let her know.
Okay. So she wouldn't have any objection to you actually getting into this.
I don't think so. I need to ask her, though.
You don't think so? I mean, why don't you think so?
I mean, I can't see why she'd object to it.
Okay. So she wouldn't have any objections to you making more money and getting XYZ.
Well, no, of course not.
Okay. So then yeah, bro, I don't know. I don't know where to go from here.
No,
Well,
you're on the right lines, bro. You've balled it, bro. So when they say just to let her know nothing, what do we say? Anybody else know? Anybody else have a go?
What if you ask for, maybe is it permission or approval? Sorry, is it permission or support? Then they say, no, no, I just want to go ahead and speak to her. Then I personally ask, okay, so what if you do go ahead and speak to her and then she says no?
Yep.
And then depending on their answer, if he says I'll probably do it anyways, well, most likely they're gonna be like, I don't know. You just gotta get the answer out of them. Then depending on whether they say I'd do it anyways, well, if they do it anyways, just close them. And if not, then go into your responsibility frame.
Yeah.
I think that was a bit lot, but yeah.
No, you're right, right? So what you say, right, is when they say just to let her know nothing, then you say, okay, and just to let her know, is that just for permission or is that just literally just to let her know, right? And then what they'll say is they'll say, oh no, it's just to let her know. Okay. And then you say, okay, well, what happens if she says no, you can't do it? And they'll say, I'll just do it anyway, right? And then what you go down is you go into the approval, exactly what Atford's talking about, where what we do is we shift the decision on to them, right? So let's say, for example, Atford, that you're the prospect here, and don't make it too hard for me.
Nah, well,
Try and smoke me. So obviously I say to you, you say to me, I'll do it anyway. I say, okay, well, why not just do it right now then?
do you want me to give you an objection?
No, you're just carrying on the objection as the prospect from where we are right now.
Just still wanting to kind of make sure and stuff.
100%. And obviously, when it comes to doing this program, Atford, who's actually going to be putting in the work and doing what's required to get you to those 10, 15K a month?
Me, of course.
Okay. And obviously, when it comes to making that happen, it's not going to be your partner who has to make it happen, take those long nights and carry your family to that greatness that you talked about.
No, of course not. She's just doing her bit.
100%. So obviously knowing that and knowing that it's going to come down to you, why are we shifting the decision onto her when at the end of the day, it's actually your responsibility to make this happen for your family?
Good question. Not sure to be honest.
Well, listen,
Um,
obviously when it comes to being that man who makes 10, 15, 20K a month, it's going to be your job to make these decisions and make things happen, right?
yeah, 100%.
Okay, so do you want to make that first step in making those decisions and not having to fall back and hoping that your wife makes the decision for you, or are you actually ready to step into that version of you and be ready to make that decision?
Obviously, I want to step into being that version, right?
Are you sure? Because you don't have to.
No, I don't have to, but if I want to have XYZ, then I got to, you know.
Okay, makes sense. I'll send you through the payment link, right?
You,
But
I
obviously,
got
go for it. Go
sorry.
for it.
If let's say, can't you just like not steamroll them, but like just break their logic? Say, okay, so the reason why you don't want to do this is because you want to go ahead and speak to her. Okay, fair. But if she says yes, you're gonna do it anyways. If she says no, you're gonna do it anyways. So either way, you're gonna do it. So you might as well just not do it now. Like, would you not just say that?
But then I
Because
just
they're gonna.
but I just want to talk to her.
Okay, but why?
Because I just want to talk to her.
Bro, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
I just want to
Then
talk.
yeah,
So it's the way we always make these kind of decisions.
yeah. Then I'll probably go into responsibility frame.
But that's why I just do this. Is because I know it's going to go
Okay,
that route anyway.
okay,
And
okay.
and also like you can't logic sell everyone.
Yeah, true. Good point.
Yeah. Most of these
Yeah.
geezers on calls make no logical sense. That's why
Yeah.
they're there.
Yeah, fair. Good
Like,
point.
yeah, in the mind, but like, no, not really. Right. So,
Jordan, sorry, quick one. Just on, so when you get to the bottom there, when you're like, yeah, you don't have to, and they're like, nah, but yeah, I want to do it for X, Y, Z. Like, how do you then wrap it up just to take them back to the
okay,
register?
you say to them, but you don't have to, right? And they say, no, but I do. I want to get this going. I want to make it happen. It'd be like, okay, so are you ready to get started today and get things moving and get to XYZ goal? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. And then you just send them the payment link.
Okay.
Like, all I'm trying to do there is the reason that I do it so much is to try and stop payment dips.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I do it. But you still get them, right?
Yeah.
You
Fucking.
can't
Yeah,
get rid of them. Sometimes you think you have the greatest call of all time. He's giving you all this pain, no objections, and then see you later, man.
Yeah.
Like, it happens. There's not.
Because like in that moment right at the end, when like, oh, well, you don't have to do it. No, I want to do it. Like, so you kind of go with the right. This is what we're gonna do. Because a lot of other people they go, oh, well, where do you want to go from here, and leave it open.
Nah, I'll just take them by the hand.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like people need that, to be honest.
Yeah, because like, where do you want to go from here? I want to do it, but, and then they have the opening to say, but, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just like, all right, let's just get you started. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And just take them over that line instead of hoping that they take themselves over that line.
Yeah. It's a fine line between pulling and pushing with objection handling, I feel.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah.
You need to know when to push, you need to know when to pull.
Yeah.
All right. When the prospect says, when we ask them, what if she says no and they say, I don't know? What do we say to them?
If you really had to think,
If you really had to think, what else would we say?
you're famous. How long have you known her for? Do you think you can make an educated answer? That kind of frame.
You just go right back into, well, how long have you been? You know her pretty well. What do you imagine she would say? And then she'll give you the real objection again. So anything that is like fake doubt about what they'll say, you can always just look back to, well, how long you been together? Surely you can make an educated guess as to what she'll say. Every time they give you uncertainty about their partner. All right. Does that make sense for the partner objection? Does anybody have any questions around that?
Well, what if they say, what if it really is a real objection and they say, oh yeah, I need her permission. Or I need his permission.
We're coming to that, bro. Stop trying to skip the
Oh.
movie. The end, bro. Sometimes you gotta sit through the boring dialogue, bro. All right, when a prospect says to us they need to think about it, what do we say to them, Justin?
We agree with them, and then we ask them what based off of everything that we covered, what exactly would they need more clarity on?
You hate tie downs.
Can you ask like
Right,
after
yeah.
everything you've gone through, do you think that our product can help you with XYZ, which you want to achieve?
Mm-hmm. So they say yes. Then what do we say?
Why?
Why? And then what do we ask them, Justin?
What would they need to think about?
Okay. You got there in the end, bro. And then what's the usual answer that we get following that?
No, I just need to think about it.
Money?
Money, fear,
So
logistics,
if you get really
partner.
lucky, you'll get the real objection off the bat. Like really lucky. But what they're going to say 99% of the times is, don't know, man. Just need to think about it. Or the other thing, what's the other thing that you get? There's a really common one that you get all the time too.
The way I make decisions.
It's just a big decision. Is one of the other ones. And that ties in with way I make decisions, right? Well, actually, no. The way I make decisions comes in up here, right? So when they say, to be honest, man, I don't know, man, just need to think about it. What do we say to follow up with that?
It's just a guess, but like when you say you need to think about it, what's coming up? Like, what's the main thing that comes to mind when you say you want to think about it? Or
Okay.
is there anything you feel that can't get you to where you want to go?
What are the doubts that you're having in your head?
Yeah. So what I'd personally say to them is I'd say, okay, but obviously you feel like this can get you to XYZ, right? They'll say, yeah, I do. And then what you follow up with them is, okay, well, why would you need to think about that? Right? So what we're doing is we're now framing it as instead of thinking about the program, they're thinking about getting to their goals. And then what they'll say from that is, okay, well, why would you need to think about it? And they'll come out with the real smoke screen, which is going to be, like Jimmy said, which will just be the way I make decisions, big decision, or something else. For
How do you deal with like those really like quote unquote successful prospects who say, this is how I always make decisions? Because the normal decision making process thing kind of backfires when you try to use it on them because they're like, oh, my life's fucking amazing. You know what I mean?
yeah, but like I've never really conceded with that. Like, yeah, their life's amazing, right? But they still come to you for help.
Can we role play it? I'll be easy, but just to see how you keep fighting it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I need to think about it.
Yeah, 100%, man. But obviously, everything we went through today, do you feel like it can genuinely get you to XYZ goal?
Yeah, of course.
Why though?
Because of XYZ.
Okay, so when you do go away and think about it, just to make sure that I've done my job and everything makes sense to you, what is it that you actually need to think about, just to see if I can help you in any way?
Nothing in specific. I've been in business for the last 37 years. It's how I've always done things. I've never been impulsive. I always wait 24 hours and it served me quite well.
Okay, 100%, and I respect that, right? But obviously, going through everything that we've went over today, I mean, what is it that you're actually going to be thinking over?
Um, Probably like just everything you spoke about in terms of X pitch, X price. Probably doing some calculations and just really sort of looking everything over.
Okay. In terms of calculations, what do you mean by that?
Just looking at some numbers, crunching some numbers with the business, with my accountant, checking how things are, seeing if this is actually the right thing.
Okay. Seeing if it's the right thing. I mean, obviously, with everything we went through, you feel like it can get you to that desired goal that you've been trying to hit for XYZ time, right? Why do you feel like it wouldn't be the right fit?
Oh, but from here you've passed that, where you're into the real objection, so you won in it. Okay.
Like, there's always a reason why they want to take the time and think about it, right? The people who actually make decisions the quickest are successful people.
100%.
Like, the reason that they're not making a decision quick is because they think there's something wrong with what you're offering them.
But even like sometimes when I used to be on offer and we used to well, actually that's just probably them trying to defend themselves. I was gonna ask, sometimes you try to get the tie down like during the discovery and they give the I always think about things, but that's just because they're fearful to commit.
Yeah, but you just ask them, like, let's say that business proposal came across your desk and it was absolutely amazing, everything you've ever wanted, but you only had an hour to decide on it. Would you do it?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure I wouldn't have to do like 1 hour time
No,
limit with you guys, I'm sure.
It's hypothetical, right? But you would do it, right? If it all made sense and it was exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of
So
course.
your decision making isn't 100% stonewall if the opportunity is correct.
You could say that. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Right. And now when I get to the end, I'm going to be like, okay, well, do you feel like this decision 100% is what you want? Everything like that, right?
You could also use an analogy with those guys. Like, well, one of the biggest, especially if they're married, right? One of the biggest decisions you made in your life was marriage. So, when you got down on one knee to your wife, like, did she have to go away and take 24 hours to tell you yes?
Hmm. Well, what if they say some shit like, "Oh, but that's because we was in a relationship for 7 years and we had all that time speaking to each other beforehand."
Yeah,
Oh,
well, you
okay.
could say,
Sorry, jump in there, Dexter. But what I say in response to that is I say, okay, so it's just that you feel like you don't know us enough yet and you don't have that level of trust yet to make that impulsive yes decision.
Yeah, that's kind of why I want to think about it.
Okay. So obviously, in terms of thinking about that, what do you feel like you need from us to be more trusting and build that relationship?
Do you want it to be difficult, bro?
No, but like then they're gonna give you the real thing, right? But you've already got the real thing. It's just trust and relationship. It's
Yeah.
not actually the way they make decisions. It's just that they don't trust you yet.
Okay. Okay.
I love that analogy, Dexter. It's a good
yeah,
one.
it's class.
Go for it, Ron.
When they do say like when you offer that kind of perspective of like, is it a case you just don't trust and kind of have that long relationship with us yet? Like, where do you go from there? Like, how do you prove that trust on the call? Like, do you just break it down even further, or
You just ask them, like, okay, and obviously in your previous business relationships, what do you do to build that trust? Oh, I work with them. Okay. And obviously,
yeah, I was gonna say that.
us know us, it's gonna take working together, right? And then you can try and build the trust with the trust pilots, with reviews, with stuff like that.
Yeah,
Just walking them through everything again. But like the biggest trust is getting them to realize the only way to truly trust someone is to work with them, know them, and like be involved with them, right? And
yeah,
it's
fire.
actually pretty
That's
easy to break down.
yeah.
And when somebody says to us, what do you need to think about? It's just a big decision. What do we say to them?
Yeah, like it is a big decision.
Why is it a big decision?
Because like if you want to make 10, 15, 20K per month, you've got to make big decisions. I don't know, this could be all be wrong. I'm just fucking
Yeah, but I'm interested to know why you think.
say what comes to mind.
What's coming up in your head that's making you think it over? Again, right? When you ask the same thing.
Wait, repeat that?
Like you just ask them like what's coming up in your head that's making you think it over.
Yeah, I tackle the like, why it's a big decision. Anything else?
Would you get them to basically you push them towards money? Because you say, why is it a big decision? And then they'll be like, okay, it's a lot of money. Then you start handling the money.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. I'd say interesting. What makes it a big decision in your own opinion, right? Or what other option do we have?
Can I share an analogy that I mean I've never used it, but it could probably work.
Yeah, go for it.
So it's like you ask them like have you ever you've had to driven a car for the first time, right? Like you've probably done that before, and then they'll probably be like, yeah, like I had to learn how to drive for the first time, and you can be like, okay, well, you didn't know how to do it, but did that stop you? And they'll be like, no, it didn't. And then you can be like, exactly. So you probably have done a lot of things that you've never tried before, but that doesn't mean you should try. Something like that.
Well, that's a great
Yeah.
analogy, right? But the reason that it doesn't work in this scenario is because they've never said they've not done it before. They've just said it's a big decision.
Like I'm saying, like in the case that they face a big decision, it's just like, oh, I don't know, I've never really, done something like this before, and it's just I need to kind of think about it 'cause it's a really big decision. That's what I would say.
Ah, okay. So you're saying if they said, it's a big decision because I've never done anything like this before.
Exactly.
Ah, okay. Yeah, then it works like that for sure. Darks, why turn on your mic, bro?
What's going on?
Not much, bro. Let's see the tattoo.
Huh?
Let's see the tattoo.
Fucking look at that, boy.
Fucking what a final boss, Ibiza.
Fucking Jackie, mate.
What are you comparing this to, right? That is also a good way to do it, right? And what you're leading them to is you'll just lead them down the money route. When somebody says it's a big decision, 99% of the time, it's money. Like that's the only thing that makes these things a big decision is the money. The other thing you'll get sometimes is fear, right? They'll say to you, they'll usually say something along the lines of, never made a decision like this. What do we say when they say they've never made a decision like this before?
If you want to start getting different results, would you make decisions how you always do, or start making decisions in a different way? Something like that.
No, what you say is that a problem or is that a symptom? No, I'm joking.
Fuck that.
Classic. No, what you say to them is you say, but like a little bit along those lines, what I'd say to them is I'd say, okay, makes sense. But do you feel like getting to XYZ goal is ever going to be possible without making decisions, right? And what we're doing is we're boxing them into the reality that they have to make this sort of decision eventually, even if it's not today, right? And then what would they say to this usually?
No, it's not possible.
Not possible, right? So then what do you follow up with that?
Why isn't it possible?
Why? And then what do they say? They say, oh, nothing changes if nothing changes. So then what do we say?
Okay, so how much longer do you want nothing to change?
Repeat that, Darks.
How much longer do you want that to be a reality?
And then they'll say, I don't want it to be. And then what do we say to that?
So what do you feel like we need to do right here, right now, so that doesn't... So what do you feel like we need to do right here, right now, so that doesn't become our reality?
Yeah. What should we do? And they'd say, well, do it. Right? And then what do you say?
Okay, so why don't you listen to your advice?
Yeah. Now, there is one other possibility that they'll say here. Well, do it, but it's just scary. Right? And then take advice. Close. But when they say, well, do it, but it's just scary, big decision, whatever, then what we do is we loop them back into the fear, which we'll get into on the next coaching call. I feel like I'm on a TV show. But that leads you into the fear, right? So does anybody have any questions around the do-it-yourself partner or the think about it objection? I know that was a fucking lot to take in. Fucking hell, how many sticky notes did I use? So obviously when it comes to fear and they're actually very tied into each other. A lot of people with fear, it actually just comes down to the money, right? And what is the reason for that? Why are a lot of money objections tied in with fear?
Because they've never spent that amount of money before on something.
Okay, so never spent that kind of money. What else?
Or they're not going to get an ROI on it.
I wouldn't say that. That's more of like a value-based objection.
Because it's the last money that they have.
Okay, so scarcity, right? So you're actually kind of right with the ROI, but not so much the ROI. It's more so lack of belief, which again, coming on. Oh fuck it now. That'll do. So lack of belief, and a lot of the time that lack of belief isn't even on the program itself. It's just on themselves. And what is the one thing that all three of these reasons for having fear have in common?
That they're holding them back.
Yeah. What else?
They're all beliefs.
All beliefs. What else?
It's all around money.
All around money. What else? It has nothing to do with us. It's all on them, right? Like everything with fear is about the prospect. Because if you if you had your last $5,000 and someone guaranteed you that you could make 10K, you'd give them your last five, right? But the problem with info products and the problem with selling people things is it relies on them. And they all, if they are in the position that they are, where they're in scarcity, they don't have a lot of money and they have a lack of belief, it's usually because they don't believe in themselves. So the fear objection isn't directly a fear of the program. It's more of a fear of them failing than anything else. So what are some ways that we can identify a fear objection? What is something that prospects usually say to you?
That they've done a program like this before and it hasn't worked.
Nah, it's burnt before.
I don't know if I can make it work or.
Yeah.
What else?
I've never done something like this before.
Okay. Anything else that they'd say?
It's a big decision.
Okay, big decision. Ollie?
Can you change something? It's really bugging me.
Huh? Yeah, I can for you.
That's all I could think about.
There you go.
Yeah, like what if it, I suppose what if it doesn't work for me? Just like I suppose that's the same as that.
Okay. And again, right? What do all these things have in common that they're saying?
Yeah, about them.
Yeah. Like it's always about them. And it's something that not a lot of people actually realize with fear is every time that a prospect gives you a fear, they tie in themselves to it. It's because they're not actually scared of the program. It's just because they don't back themselves to make it happen. So when somebody says something like this to us, what is the first thing that we should say to them?
Stop being a dickhead and get out your head. That's
I
what I want to say.
So if somebody said to you, Sam, they said, I've never done something like this, or it's a big decision, so what would you say to them?
I can understand that. It's a big decision. I think. Have you made decisions like this before? Like, have you made a big decision like this before?
Okay. So what are we doing there? We're getting clarity, right? Okay.
Yeah, I was more trying to find out if there'd already been a pattern of either they've never done it before or they have done it before and fucked it up.
Yeah. So most of the time, these are things that you'll find out in the discovery, right? So you'll already have that ammunition. But the most important thing when somebody gives you the fear objection, right, is saying that you understand that, right? Because you are going to need to level with them. Because it is going to be quite a difficult thing, right? And then it's about getting the clarity on that. So let's say after somebody says, I've never done something like this, it's before, it's a big decision. I don't know if it can make it work. And we say, I can understand that and get clarity. What do they usually say?
I got distracted. I can't remember the question.
So if they say the fear to you, right, and you say, I understand that, and then get some clarity on their situation, what do they usually say to you? It doesn't have to just be you, Sam. It can be anybody.
I mean, most of the time they've not made a decision like this before, like a big one before.
Yeah. Well, like this is all new to me.
Decision like before. Okay. And then what do we say following that?
Have you ever made 10K a month before?
Made 10K before. Okay. What else? What could we say to them?
Is not making a decision going to get you to where you want to be?
Okay, so calling out the fact they've never made a decision.
Yeah.
What I'd ask instead is, so I'd usually go for this. Have you ever made 10K before? Just like Cornelius said. But another option you have is I'd say, okay, can I ask why? Why haven't you made a decision like this before? What do you think they'll usually say to you?
Like a limiting belief or like an external like excuse.
Give me an example.
Been too comfortable.
Nah, too comfortable is very rare.
Nah.
Be something like too busy, not had
time, no money.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing that they'll say is they'll say very scary or too risky, right? And then you know straight away that you then need to go into changing their mindset and really pushing them to carry on with it, right? So that's when we start to go into fear reframes and getting them into that fucking 2.0 version. When somebody says to you, they give you the limiting belief of, oh, you know, can I ask why you never made a decision like that before? Been too busy, I've not had the time. What do we say to them?
With time specifically, or?
Well, you can use either example. They're all the same.
Well, we all have 24 hours in a day.
Yeah, but you know, I work night shifts, I have 2 kids, like my 24 hours are different to yours.
Yeah, look, I get that, man. Do you feel like next month is going to be less work to do?
Okay. But no, but here, right? So when they say too busy, not had enough time, you just call them out on that nothing's going to change.
Yeah, I always ask, do you feel like the decisions that we make kind of take us to where we're going to go or determine where we're going to end up?
Okay, repeat that.
Yeah, 100%. I get that, man. Can I ask you a question? Yeah, for sure. Do you feel like the decisions that we make, is that kind of determining where we're going to end up?
Okay. I need to take a speed typing class. All right. And then they say, well, I assume most of the time they say yes, right? And then what do you say following that?
So then let me ask you this, man. If we keep making decisions the way we've been making decisions, do you feel like anything's going to change?
No.
Okay, so then let me ask you this, man. Like the version of you making 15K a month, right? Living in Bali. In order to be that version of yourself, do you feel like it's now the best decision to keep doing decisions the way you've been doing it? Or do you feel like it's time to maybe get out of that comfort zone and start making decisions like you're already that version? Or like fork in the road or whatever the fuck like you want to say.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so like there, if you dive straight into the 10, 15K a month version of you, we haven't really got to the grips of why they are the way they are, right? And what you'd end up doing is you probably end up having to reframe them 2, 3 times. Whereas when they say no, right? If we keep making decisions the way we have been, do we feel like we'll get there? No. Okay. So what do you feel? So where do we go from here? Is usually what I ask them, right? And this will give you an idea of whether they're ready to just dive straight on them with the 2.0 version. Because if they say straight away, they say, well, I need to make a change, right? Then you can dive into exactly what you went into, Cornelius, with the change in their personality and the way they make decisions. But if they say, which a lot of prospects are going to say is, I don't know, man. That's why I'm here, right? They give you some fucking dumb cunt answer. I don't know. That's why I'm here, man. What do we say when they say this? Sweet.
Like where have the decisions you made in the past got lost you?
Okay. Anything else?
is just sitting on a call enough? Or do you actually need to take action?
Okay.
Or maybe like push back, but like, yeah, man, like I don't know either, man. Like you tell me. Do you want to keep doing the same thing over and over again, or do you feel like it's time to maybe take a change?
Well,
So
could you say
what I'd say right here, right, is I'd say, okay, well, say hypothetically, you were speaking to yourself in the third person, what would you tell them to do? And then you're removing the blame and the decision from them by saying, well, what would you tell someone in your shoes to do?
Well, tell them to think about it to make the right decision.
Okay. And why do you feel like thinking about it makes them make the right decision? Why wouldn't they be able to make the like you can just call them out straight away for it, right?
No, it's simple.
And you're able to just stop them like almost instantly. And so like when you say that to them, right, what do you think they'll say? So there are two options. They'll say that. They'll say, I would tell him to think about it. What else would they say?
Probably tell him to do it.
Tell him to do it, right? And then you go down the Y, X, Y, Z, right? And then when they say, I would tell them to think about it, you can just say, why? And then they'll tell you. And then you can ask them the same question. You can say, well, what do you think the 2.0 version of you would say, right? And then you just tie them right back into this, where they're going down the 2.0 version of themselves, how to make that change, and why that person would make the decision there and then. So when they say, tell them to do it, right? And then you say, okay, why? What are they going to say in response to that?
I can get to XYZ?
Yeah. Get to XYZ goal. Okay. And then you just go down the usual route of, okay, and do you genuinely feel like this can get you there? Yeah. Okay. Why? And you say, okay, so why aren't you moving ahead and going towards that goal? Oh, you know, it's a big decision. It's whatever. Okay. What specifically makes it a big decision for you?
Oh, it's the money.
Then they start to go into it, right? But it's just about getting them to one side, because the problem and the only reason fear exists is because the prospect doesn't believe in themselves. Like again, it comes back to that spending scarcity or lack of belief in themselves. It doesn't really have anything to do with the program. You could be selling fucking anything and they'd have that fear. It's why most, like, if you meet people who buy high ticket programs and they piff on the first call, they always have the most self-belief and they're the most egotistical people you'll ever meet. And that's why fear doesn't exist. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, I have a question though, Jordan.
Go for it.
Could you ask like a question like, could you scroll back to the left a little bit where we went through it all? Fuck me. So many sticky notes.
I was going
what we just went through.
you know.
Tell it that by tell him to do it.
Yeah.
But the hypothetically one. Like, could you ask a question like, okay, well, if you carry on to make the decisions, if you carry on making decisions the way you have been for the last amount of years, or if you get time frame on it, like, do you generally see you getting to that result?
No, I don't. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, it's the same kind of answer.
Yeah, because they're always going to try and justify their actions up until this point by being like, yeah, but that's what brought me here today.
I think, Rowan, that's a really good question you can ask in Discovery. Like, I literally just had a call before this where that was the exact thing. Like, he didn't fucking put in any work. And then there's a really good framework from like this guy, Johnny Mao. You can watch on YouTube. It's like his channel trailer where he talks about exactly that, right? Like reframing that firstly getting to doubt and then asking, okay, look, man, let's pretend for a second you wouldn't have had that limiting belief a year ago. Like, where do you feel like you would be right now? Oh, then that. Okay, perfect. So let me ask you this one. Like, if you keep doing it that way, like, do you think anything's gonna change? No, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you feel confident that if you keep doing it that way, you're going to get to that goal? No, of course not. Okay, perfect. So what do you feel like we need to do from now on? Keep staying in that belief or start making decisions differently or start fucking prioritizing time or whatever the fuck it tells you, right? Like, that's really, really powerful because then even at the objection, like at the end when he tells you, oh, whatever I need to think about, you get to fear. then you have way stronger established, like we just made earlier clear, mate. If you keep doing it that way, it's gonna be fucking bullshit, right?
Yeah, you just slipping into that old way of thinking already.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense, bro.
Sweet. Any other questions?
Can you send that document through or no?
You have to pay $1,000 for this, bro.
You need to pay someone to find out what you're looking at first, bro.
Have you got
Navigate it.
have you got a firm link?
Yeah, I'll send it to you, bro. Don't worry. This
Okay,
is like
cool.
this is like what Einstein's desk looks like when they found him dead. Nobody could understand what he was rambling about. That's what this is, bro. If nobody has any more questions on fear, we'll move on to money. If I can fucking find it. Here we go. So when somebody says it's too much money, right? What do they usually say when they say that?
It's expensive.
Expensive.
I'm afraid to spend that money.
That's fear.
Out of my budget.
What was that? Budget.
Out of my budget.
Okay. So when somebody says these things to us, what is the first thing that we need to do?
Take it out of money.
That's right.
Like disarm the money.
Disarm? What else?
Isolate the money.
Isolate.
Clarify what it means.
Oh yeah. Is it money? What money objection it is? Money fear or money logistics?
Yeah. So the first thing that we need to do with money is actually isolate and clarify whether it's they don't have the money or whether it's they have the money but they just don't want to give it to you. Because a large majority of people, right, are going to say, oh, it's out with my budget, but they have 35 grand sitting in the account. Like, people look at budgets as very different things, right? Like, people will give you their whole bank and be like, oh, it's a little expensive, but it's fine. And then people have 2 million in the bank and they won't give you 10K. So how do we go about actually clarifying and isolating the objection?
You need to get to an open wallet. Chat.
Give them a binary. Like, is this like logistics or hesitate?
Yeah. Okay. Is it a case that you have the full investment and you're just a bit uncertain? Or is it a case that you just have a little bit of it or you don't have it and like we need to rob a bank or sell a car or something?
Well, what are we forgetting before all of this?
Money aside, mate.
Making sure they see the value.
Yeah, value. Right. So value and tie down. Right. And then what you do is straight away always money aside. And then they give you XYZ answer. And then you clarify, is it a case of you don't have you don't have XYZ, or is it a case of you do, but it would just be a little uncomfortable? And when we ask them that, right, what are the usual responses that we get from them?
Can we just go back 2 seconds to money aside?
Yeah.
Because like I don't know, like, well, in my opinion, like the answer's always going to be yes. Like I don't. What's the like point of saying?
I had a guy today that said he fucking didn't answer, mate.
Because here's what it is, right? Is like you don't say money aside, and then you go down and they go, oh, that's amazing, just send that to me in an email, right? Because what they might say is if you don't say money, like if you say money aside, they could go, yeah, but obviously I need to run it by my wife, right? So you're just trying to make sure that it's just the one objection.
Got it.
But like, let me ask you this: what's the negatives of asking money aside?
Like I said, like I just feel like it's like, well, obviously I would do it if it was free.
But it's not. Is it free? It's money aside. Is there anything that's holding you back from doing this?
Okay.
I'm not asking you, would you do it if you're free? I'm asking you, is it just the money that's stopping you, or is there something else to it? And then you say, no, it's just the money. Okay. And then I know that I can go into, is it a case if you don't have 5 grand, or is it a case that you do, but it would just be a little uncomfortable? And then what they do is they give you one of two answers. They either give you it would be uncomfortable, which is just into fear, right? Or they give you I don't have it. When somebody says to you they don't have the full investment, what do we say to them?
Find out how much they actually have.
Okay, but how do we do that?
Um, let me understand the financial situation. What are you kind of working with? Do you have saved up?
What you kind of working with?
Would you get like another semi tie down on their commitment, I suppose?
It's exactly what I do. I'd say that, okay, that's fine. Just in terms of clarity on my end. And then I always just ask them, so is this a case of how do I do this? How do I do this? Not should I do this, right? The reason I ask that is just to make sure that the only thing holding them back is actually logistics. Because if they say, yeah, it's just literally how do I do this? Then I can say, okay, well, we do have the possibility of XYZ payment plans, or if you're financing, right? And then what you say to them is, so what do we say following this before I give my answer, actually? So you say, okay, well, we do have the possibility of payment plans, XYZ financing, if that makes sense for you.
Let's say we did find him that will work for you, would you definitely get started today?
Let's say we find something that works for you. Would you be 100% down to start today?
Why though? Maybe.
I don't really feel like if you get them this far, I never really felt the need to say why, to be honest.
Maybe you sure. I feel like a lot of the time, like if I didn't do too many fucking tie-downs on that, then it's like, oh yeah, credit card doesn't work. Oh yeah, I just gotta go deposit money to the bank. You know what I mean? Like that kind of bullshit.
So these are the two options that you get, right? So if you get yes straight away, like I think you can kind of tell though. I'm sure you'll agree with that,
Yeah.
right? You can tell who's gonna buy if the payment plan makes sense and who's probably just pulling your pisser. So if they say depends, right? That's where I'd go into, okay, depends on what? Right? Again, because you just need to get clarity on what's actually stopping them. Or if they just say yes, then you just give them the options. So you just say X, Y, Z payment plan, and then let them pick the best one.
Don't you do like open wallet? Like you just drop them the payment plans?
Not really. I've never felt the point, to be honest. I've always just XYZ payment planned them. I always just start with the top 3 anyway. And with most offers, you're gonna know how much they have anyway, based on like the setters or based on whatever. Sometimes, yeah, they have a bit more, and you maybe miss out on some cash, but you'll get reoccurring anyway. But you can open wallet them, but I found it almost causes a little bit more fucking resistance than it's worth. If somebody says to you, okay, it depends, right? What do we say? We say, okay, depends on what? And then what's the usual answer that we get from that?
If I can afford it.
What else? Anything else?
Like how much it is?
Nah, it's all just the same. I just want to see if anybody.
Yeah.
It's just if I can afford it, and it's just another money objection. So then what do you reply to that, Rowan, since you gave the answer?
Well, what can you afford? Like, well, I don't know. I don't know, Agam.
You bottle it as soon as I ask you, bro. So all
Well,
you
not really. Like, no, I don't know.
all you say to them is, okay, and if you can afford it, are you 100% willing to move forward today?
Yeah, I would have never said
Yes.
that.
and you just go through it again, right? It's kind of a trick question, to be honest. It's super simple. Like money is the easiest objection in the world.
It's just the same pattern, isn't it?
Yeah, like money is just a logistical issue, right? Logistical issues aren't extremely hard to fix, to be honest. All right. Does that all make sense in terms of money? Does anybody have any questions regarding that?
Yeah, I guess how do you, I guess it just comes down to trusting your own ability. But like, how do you concrete know that it is just logistics? Like, obviously, no, we've just been through the whole process, but like, how do you know that for sure? So I guess, well, you probably don't ever know, but like, is there anything that indicates that you strongly know that this actually is logistics? It's not fear. It's not anything else.
I guess you can kind of just tell, to be honest, by someone's interest, by the like how keen they are, and also the way they're talking to you, right? Like when
Yeah.
when they straight away go like, "Oh, that's out of my budget," or "I just don't quite have enough for that." When they come out with that straight away, they'll be pretty open with you, right? It's harder because the only way you really get to money is one, if they give you it straight away, or you already break the smoke screen. And it's also very obvious when it's fear too. So
Yeah,
it just comes with experience and learning it, in my opinion.
yeah, so the certainty of the language as well, you can just tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it makes sense, bro. Because if they're being all weird and like fidgety and shit talking about it, it's just like, yeah, it's fear. It's not.
Exactly.
I mean, normally, I think I've never had somebody lie to me when I ask them, like, do you feel like, so when you say money, is like, you definitely just don't have it, or is it more a thing of like, it feels uncomfortable? I've never had somebody saying, oh, no, it just feels, I don't have it, and then later you open wallet and they do have it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like if they're being open with you, a lot of times they actually want to buy it. So it'll be pretty obvious, especially once you start taking real calls. Like you'll catch on pretty quickly.
Yeah, missing piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, it's like the same in the DMs, bro. Like even when you're in the DMs, you can tell pretty
Yeah.
quickly who's actually just not got the dough.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, bro. All right. Anybody else got any questions?
I got a question. I had like a really weird, like it's completely off topic. It's like about objections, but like not really about what we've been speaking about. Is that the right time now, or?
Yeah, bro, go for it.
Yeah. Look, I had a guy today, like, bro, he was like really weird, mate. Like it took fucking 40 minutes for